Arm. I am Supergirl.
Hey guys, just finished watching Supergirl Season 3, Episode 4, The Faithful. And this episode was a great episode. It was a cool episode. I mean, it was kind of, I guess you would call it a bit of a filler episode since, not much happened to further on the plot of this season arc and stuff like that, but it is a great episode. I'm just worried that this things in this episode are not going to continue on throughout the rest of the season. I want things to continue on for this. I like the idea of seeing some people seeing her as a cult and having a cult behind her, people worshiping her as a god and things like that. Now maybe this specific cult could be gone or something like that for the rest. That's it, and they're disbanded and stuff like that because of what happened in this episode, which was really cool way how she disbanded the cult, which was pretty awesome. But I just would like to see other people, worship her as a god and see things like that throughout the season, throughout things going on and stuff like that, and I think that would be a pretty cool idea. I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see if we go over if this idea would work over on The Flash, on Supergirl, on Arrow, and all these different places. Supergirl, yeah, because she's a god. She has godlike powers and stuff like that. She can fly. She has heat vision. She's super strong, and nothing hurts her and stuff like that. So I think it would be a cool idea to see different things like this. I think it would be quite interesting to see how different things would work with this, and I like playing with this. Maybe not every episode, but if you all keeping this idea alive throughout the series, throughout the rest of the Supergirl show, I think it would be a cool idea. Now, it was pretty interesting with the whole with the guy there who was kind of Thomas Calville, being finding out, seeing right through her glasses and stuff like that, and other people like Lena can't see through the glasses and stuff, and but yet I guess Lena doesn't see through the glasses because she hangs out more with Kara than she does Supergirl, and he is indulged in is all about Supergirl, and so when he sees Kara, he's obviously able to see through. So I think it's pretty interesting that how he's able to do that. And I would like to see, maybe maybe a few people come start believing like him now that he's in prison. He starts a cult or something like that. He's not another cult, but like another following, and they start believing in her and all that stuff. So I think it would be pretty interesting to see how this goes if we maybe in another season, like if we wait a couple of seasons and then come back and see this character, Thomas Calville. I think that would be really interesting to see, maybe next season or maybe even season, we're on season 3 right now, maybe season 5 or 6 or something like that, come back and then be like, then touch upon him and see what he's done and see how many people he has a following now and how different has it changed since this episode. I think it could be an interesting idea, and I love the idea of playing with this storyline in the Supergirl mythos and stuff. So it is quite interesting, and I like the whole things also going on. The subplot with Alex and stuff was kind of I like how this episode it had mostly was this plot. There was a very small subplot instead of having cut down the middle two different storylines to follow at the same time. I like how it was pretty much it was like 90% this and then 10% the Alex kid storyline type of thing, which I think is going to be interesting to see how the storyline goes with Alex wanting to have kids and not wanting to have kids. I mean, I guess it's a kind of a boring storyline to have in a Supergirl show, and it's not even involving Supergirl wanting to have kids or not, which I think it would definitely be interesting to see. They never explained that. I mean, no one else gone, but could they have had kids? Could Daxams and Kryptonians have kids? Does that work? And if not, could she bear kids from someone from a human? Is Lois Lane ever able to bear Superman's kids? That would be interesting to talk about in this show and stuff like that. Maybe he could ask Clark that question. That would be definitely an interesting topic to talk about, but probably later on once she actually has a romantic interest. First they gotta get a lot more steps before that, but the idea with Alex, I guess it's an okay storyline. I mean, it is kind of like a boring storyline since it has nothing to do with Supergirl and it's just a storyline, and I understand how they're you got to humanize these characters and all that, but I think it would be interesting to see is if Alex went as far as to actually get pregnant, artificially get pregnant, artificially inseminated and all that stuff, and become pregnant without Maggie knowing type of thing, and then when it's almost too late, I think that would be an interesting storyline to see how Maggie would take to that. What would happen with this? How is this going to get resolved and stuff like that? And I think that an idea like that of her going behind Maggie's back would be an interesting storyline to see happen, because maybe this won't work out, who knows if this relationship's going to work out. Are they going to get married past this, just going to work out? I mean, we do know that from set photos we have seen that Alex should be part of the crossover, so maybe Alex sees that idea, maybe Alex sees Barry and Iris's relationship and see how that goes with them. Does Barry and Iris, do they want kids? I don't know if they've talked about that over on The Flash, as I think that could be an interesting storyline to see, if Barry doesn't want kids and Iris wants kids, or Barry doesn't want kids and Iris doesn't want kids, what are things like that, and they go, and then Alex goes over onto this storyline. I think that would be an interesting idea for her to bring up, and I would hope that she would bring that up to them, and maybe asking, do they want kids, things like that, and it would be an interesting conversation. And also I think it could be a cool, interesting conversation if Maggie is a part of the crossover at least a little bit, and even if she has like one scene in the crossover, it'd be an interesting topic for someone like Diggle. Diggle, what advice would Diggle have for Alex in this situation? What advice would Diggle's wife there, getting her Lila, what advice would she have for this situation? Also I'm surprised an easier way would just probably get an answer sooner rather than later, but what advice does Helen Slater have there? What's her name there? Can't think of her name. Helen Slater, Dr. Danvers there. What advice does she have? And all that. So it's gonna be an interesting topic to see and see how things go with that. But I don't want to focus too much on it. I like how it's very small storyline within the show. It's not taking over any episodes or anything like that. It's a very little bit. It's 10% of this episode. A little bit of that, a little bit here, like 1 or 2 scenes in each episode. Nothing more really to talk about. It was like a one-liner in the one scene, and then it was a little scene here, and that's it. I think that I like that how they're slowly touching upon it, but not diving too deep. And obviously eventually they're gonna have the talk and really long talk and do all that stuff, but I really like the way that they're keeping it as a very small back storyline within the show without having it take over too much, taking up too much time and stuff like that, because I think it's an interesting storyline. It's a storyline that probably needs to be talked about and all that stuff, but it's not a storyline that I want to take over on a Supergirl show, on a superhero show type of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see where things go with this, and see where things go. But I just just don't want it to take over too much story time and time within the show, within the episodes and stuff. So we'll see how things go with this. Also, Dean Cain don't remember where Dean Cain is left off. I've got to finish it on rewatching everything on Netflix, trying to figure out where we last left off with Jeremiah Danvers, but I can't remember where we left off with him. So yeah, so far this episode, again, it is a great episode with all kinds of stuff going on, and Kara dealing with this, the cult, the religion, people worshiping her as a god and stuff. And I definitely can't wait to see, like I said, as things go on, how this idea affects people and how this idea continues on throughout the rest of the series. And I hope it doesn't just come up here and there, or 1 or 2 episodes here and there. Hopefully they can keep the idea of this alive and keeping this thing kind of really interesting, and I think it could be fun to play with it all. And also I'd like to see if whenever we see Superman back, since we have last season we saw Superman in the first 2 episodes, then we saw him at the last episode. I'd love to see, even if they were texting it over each other on the computer and stuff, or why not FaceTime? Are they allowed to have him on FaceTime if she's able to FaceTime with him? And that way they don't have to actually get Tyler Hoagland to come over or anything like that. He can just send a video from his phone type of thing, and it doesn't need to be super high quality, because they're not gonna blow it up to full screen. We're gonna see it on her phone. So I think that would be an interesting idea. All he'd have to do is put on some the glasses or something like that, or even just pretend he's in a green screen room and just kind of do that. So I think that could be a cool idea to get Superman's opinion on this whole occult type thing going on, and has he ever dealt with anything like this before, and what did he do differently, how does he do it, and how does he deal with these people, and how often does he come across these type of people and stuff like that. This religion, the interesting part about this show, I guess, part about this show is how, the fact that they only started worshipping Supergirl, even though Superman had been around for a while. But who's to say, this guy only did start this cult type thing because he got saved by Supergirl. So I guess if he had been saved by Superman, he would have done the same thing. So I imagine that Superman would have his own version of that somewhere else out there, his own cult maybe following him or something like that, and how he's dealt with it would be an interesting storyline to talk about in the scene or some type thing. But we'll have to wait and see if we're going to get anything like that. Maybe that's why I'd like to see this kind of storyline continue on. And also I'd love to see the storyline go over like the Flash, Arrow and stuff. Arrow would be kind of different. It means he doesn't have powers and all that stuff. But still, there still could be, if you like a small people worshipping him type thing. I think they have kind of played with that a little bit on Arrow with Cupid and stuff, falling in love with him and stuff. But it's not the same as a cult type thing. So we'll have to wait and see if we get this on Flash. That could be an interesting idea. But Flash is barely seen as a person to see run so fast by them and stuff. So yeah, it is an interesting episode. I definitely can't wait to see how this continues on throughout the rest of the season. And hopefully it does. Maybe not this season, but I'd like to see little bits of it throughout the rest of the series, rest of this show. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below, and what you like about it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.